Good afternoon, guys. How's it going today? Are we taking our defeats, are we taking our struggles and turning them into triumphs, or at least thinking about it? If we're not, or we're not, haven't had some success today, don't give up. This is where belief and determination steps in. This is where you have to remind yourself of how powerful your thoughts are. So go back at it again. If the day's not over for you, or if you are simply thinking about something that has happened, remember, you have a chance to learn from it now. But you have to believe that you can learn from it. You have to never give up on thinking about how you can learn from it. And that will turn this defeat, this loss, this pain that you may be going through, this challenge, it'll turn it into a victory. And it'll continue to build and build. But just don't give up and continue to believe that you can do it. Have a great afternoon, everyone.
First thing you got to do is decide, as a business owner, do I want to make more money? See, if this dude with the camera, if his pockets are empty, he's walking around empty pockets, and he's got his fancy camera. This is the problem with the artist. They starve their whole life. They starve their entire life, and then you wonder why they're grumpy. There's no money. I'm eating at Little's all the time. Sooner or later, you hit the reality. He hits the reality. I got a nice camera. I love taking photos. I got to shoot Grant Cardone. He watches Lord Sugar leave on his jet and says, hey, why does he get to fly free everywhere, do whatever he wants, and I'm stuck with my camera and no money? How many believe that? Sooner or later, after days of going to work, months of going to work, years of going to work, sooner or later, if he works for this man, he's like, I resent this man. I resent this man. I resent that man, business owner. I resent Paul McFadden, the business owner. I resent you, so I know I won't work for you. In fact, what I'm going to do is screw things up for you. It's called disengagement. The only business people that will survive, the only entrepreneurs that will make it in business are those people that decide to grow their businesses. Little will fail. Not the little grocery store. Okay? If you try to stay small, you will fail. Okay? I'm telling you this from personal experience. I tried to stay small. I tried to manage the business. I tried to be the king of the business. I tried to have no employees because employees cost money. I'm like, I'm not gonna have any employees. I'm not gonna pay the cameraman. I'll just hire him when I do a gig. And the next time I'll hire another guy. And that'll keep my expenses low. How many are brought up like this? Keep the expenses real low where we can manage the expenses. The expenses are gonna be so small that no matter how much we make, I keep it all.
You are staying small because you're afraid. You're afraid of the worst case scenario coming true, losing, having no money, and being embarrassed. But you know you're capable of more. You know the way that you're going about doing things right now is nothing compared to what you're capable of. Unless you lose that scarcity mindset, you're always gonna stay small, knowing that you are capable of more. Today I'm gonna show you how. So one of the easiest ways to get out of your scarcity mindset is to go from idea to action. As soon as you get an idea, you do something about it. And sometimes often that idea is gonna be too big, too scary, too crazy. You can't do it. Who are you to do this? You don't have the money, resources, time, connections, energy, right? All of that, all of the excuses that come into your head. I like to teach myself that as soon as I get an idea, I go do something. It may not work, but you have genius ideas, trust them, go do something. So this is great. This is a grant video because when I did my tour in 2019, January to April, we hit 23 different cities over 90 days. And at the beginning, I was trying to find different sponsors that would help out with travel, accommodations, because it was me, Nina, my film guy, Danny, and all of our gear. It was mostly Danny's gear. Lighting, and we had speakers and camera gear and all of this stuff. And we ended up renting a Suburban and driving across America. But before doing that, I emailed Grant and I said, hey Grant, can I use your plane for 90 days for my tour? And to his credit, the email that he wrote back was, what's the upside? Not, no, not forget about it, not, do you know how much it costs? And just jet fuel and you know, my pilot, and then I can't use my plane for 3 months. He said, what's the upside? I said, well, listen, I'm gonna let everybody in my audience know about you. And listen, we didn't get a deal. We didn't make it happen. But it's that idea of going from idea to action, right? And I still do a lot with Grant, right? Making this video, helping promote all the stuff that he's up to. We're looking at doing something together when I go to Miami next. And so that one exchange didn't ruin the relationship. And I'm happy to share it publicly. Maybe that's embarrassing for some people, right? But the idea of trusting your ideas. You get an idea, you go do something. It may be too big, it may be scary. You might have people say no, even if the most likely answer is no, right? The most likely answer might be no. The most likely answer to me asking Grant that question is no, right? It's a no. But if I don't ask, it's a no 100%. Don't take the no away from somebody else. It might be 99.999% no, but there's still a little chance. Maybe there's a yes somewhere in there. Trust your ideas. Do something. I did and still continue to do. And that's how you escape scarcity mindset. That's how you escape playing small and actually go down and chase the life that you want to live. So let's get more specific. I'm going to give you a 3-step process that I think will help. Step number 1 is idea to action. So as soon as you get that idea, you don't judge it. You don't think about it. You don't say, why me? You just go and you do something. Find the smallest possible way to just get started, right? So you just trust that the idea came to you. I believe that ideas flow through you. You got that idea for a reason. Why are you thinking about it? Don't worry about why you're thinking about it. Just go do something about it. Find the smallest possible way to just go do something about it. You are a genius, therefore you come up with genius ideas. Not all of them work out. Maybe the timing was wrong, maybe the execution was wrong, but it's still a great idea because you came up with it. Therefore, it is a great idea and you have to go do something about it. So trust your ideas and go from idea to action. Step number 2 is what I call the 2% difference. Here's what happens. Most of the time when people come up with an idea, you default into planning mode. Planning, strategy, thinking, researching, and then you wake up the next day and you're back to square one. You're back to normal. Like the energy that you got, the boldness, the courage that you had is gone because you woke up the next day. So you've wasted your best time, your best momentum, that peak in energy on planning, where what I want you to do is use that for action. So the 2% difference is, instead of planning to get to 100%, which is what most of us will do, you come up with an idea and then plan how it's going to happen 100% to finish line. You don't even know what the finish line is going to be. Stop thinking you even know where it's going to be. Instead of worrying about the 100%, focus on the first 2%. The first 2%. I have this idea. What can I do right now that will get me 2% of the way, right? You wanna make a YouTube video? Great. Pull out your phone, start recording. That's 2%. You want to remind yourself to breathe. This is one thing we have on our door. Every time I leave the door, every time I leave my condo, there's a sign that says breathe, right? Because I want to remind myself to breathe. Practice my Wim Hof. Take 30 breaths in and out as I walk outside my condo every time. I put that there as a play bigger trigger for myself. But it's easy to think, well, if I'm going to put a sign on my door, then I need it to be a certain size, and I need to be the perfect picture, and I need it to be framed, and you make it bigger, and then you don't do anything. That's the biggest problem. You just don't have momentum. You're not doing enough. And so step number one, the 2% difference is, I took out a sticky note and I just wrote breathe, and I stuck it on my door. And it's a reminder every day to breathe. It doesn't mean that you can't go back and plan. It doesn't mean that you can't replace it with something nicer, bigger, better. Yes, of course, planning has its role, but not as a first step. Your first step is action. If your first step is planning, you're losing. If your first step is planning, that's why you're a perfectionist. That's why you don't have momentum happening against your ideas. Your first step, idea into the first 2%. And then step number 3 is tie your self-worth to the effort, not the result. This is where, again, so many entrepreneurs will fail, is because you tied your self-worth to the outcome of you accomplishing that thing. If you woke up and you only did things that you knew you were going to win at, you're going to play small for life. You're only doing things inside your comfort zone because you know you're going to win at them, right? Or a very high degree chance you're going to win. If that's all you ever take on, you play small for life. But if you're going outside your comfort zone, taking on new projects, growing as a human, learning, getting better, taking on new challenges that are bigger and beyond you, most days you're actually going to wake up and fail because you're doing something new. But if you woke up every day and were proud of the effort you were putting in, you're proud of yourself for the effort. You're putting in your max effort. You're trying to make the best video you can. You're trying to make the best product or service you can. You're proud of yourself for the effort. Every single day, you're going to create amazing things. Way beyond what you thought you're capable of. And way more than the person who just sits inside their bubble doing things that they know they're going to win at. Tie your self-worth to the effort, not the results. Now I have a really special bonus clip that I think you're going to enjoy. But before that, question of the day, I want to know, what is the 2% difference that you need to take today on one of your ideas? Let me know down in the comments below. And if you made it this far in the video, I want to celebrate you. Give me a hashtag believe down in the comments as well.
Jeff is worth about $150 billion, the founder of Amazon. This is what he looked like almost 20 years ago. 20 years ago, they laughed at him. 20 years ago, he wasn't worth $20,000, let alone $150 billion. Now he's got a company, roughly speaking, around $1 trillion. A little less, maybe $150 billion less because of the sell-off in the market, etc. But they laughed at him. He had an idea. He had a dream. Like him, I had a dream about 35 years ago. I am the first person on the planet that took an option for something he did not own, public, on a major stock exchange. I'm going to say, okay, I don't own that book, right? I paid him $1. I own an option. I'll give you $5 for that book a year from now. I took an option. I took that book, not owning it, and I sold it on the New York Stock Exchange for $150 million. That's what I did. And that was the beginning of my quantum leap.
If you want to see the one-on-one I did recently with Grant, check it out right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
True wealth cannot be created working. It can only be created investing. Elon Musk is completely invested. He has no cash and no houses.
Decías que me querías, decías que me adorabas, decías que me querías, decías que me adorabas, que si mi tu vida no tiene sentido, que si mi tu vida se apaga, que si mi tu vida no tiene sentido, que si mi tu vida se apaga. Por interesada eso te pasa, muchacha. Tú te querías aprovechar de mi fama y mi plata. Y recuerda, mamacita, que en la vida todo se acaba. Solo me resta decirte que los amores de hoy en día han perdido su tradición. Los amores de hoy en día han perdido su tradición. Porque ya no se regala flores, tampoco se dedica una canción. Porque ya no se regala flores, tampoco se dedica una canción. Y ahora vienes arrepentida a refugiarte de este amor. Tu vida es un callejón sin salida. Y en mi vida, mamacita, tú no tienes cabida. Tú en mi vida ya no vas más. Yo para atrás yo no quiero mirar. Óyeme bien lo que te digo. Porque ni loco yo vuelvo contigo. Sí, cómo no.
Feel the power of your determination taking control of your breathing. Feel the power of your presence, your gift right now in this moment. Now think about you doing your best today on all the exercises we do together in the gym of life. See, we are so powerful, we get to think, create, imagine in our minds, and make real in the world. And that goes with everything. The way we do our exercises to the best of our ability is the same way we can do anything to the best of our ability. right, good morning, determination. How's everyone today? Here we are again, another day in the gym of life. Again, circumstances may not be ideal. Perhaps this is not exactly where we want to be right now, but we're going to make the best of it. So let's do this together. Here we go. When I say go, we're going to start jogging on the spot. Or if you want, you can simply do your best walk on the spot. Okay, here we go together. And go. Always doing our best with whatever we got, whatever we've been given. The gym of life is everywhere, never ends. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, whatever your situation is, if you're here right now watching this video, we are together, we are united, mind and body. All right, let's feel that body warming up, the blood starting to flow. Keep going, almost there. And stop. All right. Walking back and forth, side to side, within the space that you have, or simply walking on the spot if that's the space you have. Again, feel the power of you regaining control of your breathing. Showing your body who's boss. Showing your mind who's boss. The way we take control of that breathing, same way we can take control of our lives. One breath at a time, one thought at a time. All right, everyone, let's do some shoulder rolls. Here we go. Shoulder rolls, 10 forward. And backwards. Once again, feel the pure joy of you, your presence, your being right here, right now. Feel the gratitude that you can show for being able to move your body. All right, arm circles forward, 10 forward. And backwards. Okay, hands on our hips, bend our knees, and side stretch. 5 on each side. Keep those knees bent. All right, and let's twist our bodies. 5 on each side again. Feet flat on the floor. Just twisting our hips. All right, let's do 5 push-ups, everyone. That's 5 push-ups. Here we go. If you got to keep your knees down on the ground, you can do that. Okay, 5 sit-ups. All right, let's do 5 squats. Here we go. Best 5 squats ever. All the way down, all the way up. Good. All right, let's do lunges. 3 on each side. Arms out. Okay. Let's do 10-second planks. Belly's knees off the ground. Alright, good everyone, excellent. And stand up. And let's reach for the ceiling or the sky, wherever we are. Here we go. On your toes. Hold it for 10 seconds. power of you reaching your best, no matter what. All right. And let's reach for our toes, straight knees. Again, it's okay if you don't touch your toes, just reach. Safely, without hurting yourself. You should just feel a pull. You shouldn't feel pain. Okay, come on back up. And let's work on our balance. Grab one leg. Find that balance. Bend the other knee if you have to. And pull back your heel towards your body. Pull that thigh back. Hold it for 10 seconds. Feel the power of you finding your balance right now. And switch. The other one. Feel the power of all of us together in this moment, united, doing our best together on these stretches and exercises. All right, and switch. This time, hug your knee. The other side. And work hard to find that balance. Think about what you're doing. Hold it there for 10 seconds. Okay, and switch. The other one. Again, bend the other knee as you pull one up and hug the one knee. Okay, good. All right, and let's sit down. Let's do our V-shaped stretch by reaching for the floor as far away from your body as you can. Hold it for 10. And reach for one side. Hold it there. And switch the other side. Okay, feet together and gently push your knees down to your elbows. Hold it there. And enjoy fully the process of what we're doing. Working on our bodies and working on our minds. Every stretch, every movement, every thought. Okay, one leg forward, one leg back. Keep the knee on the ground, go as far back as you can. And switch, other side. As far back as you can, hold that knee down. Always reach. One for a little bit more than you did last time. Alright, okay, and legs crossed. Actually, before we do that, let's roll onto our bellies. And let's push the floor and look up at the sky or ceiling. Hold it for 10. Here we go. Alright, and now legs crossed, back straight, eyes closed. Focused on our breathing. Tapping into that power. That power to see first in your mind what you want to bring out into the world. That's our determination, our greatest power ever. Always available to us. So right now, I'm going to see myself doing the best I can to hold the plank position for one song, and then the best I can to hold my side plank positions for the rest of the other songs. 2 songs today for me. What about you? What are you going to see in your mind? What exercise are you going to visualize right now? You know, visualize yourself doing your best dance, your best jog, your best squats, your best sit-ups, your best jumping jacks, whatever it is. See in your mind right now before you bring it out into the world. Okay, here I go. Plank position. Holding it as long as I can. Here we go. What about you? What are you working on right now? Whatever you're doing, do it to the best of your ability and feel the joy. Feel the power of you loving what you're doing right now. That's why I love the gym of life. It goes wherever we go. Whether we're at school, whether we're at work, at home, we have that power. We have that power to control our minds, to do our best on whatever it is we're doing. Whether it's a plank, whether it's sitting down, your legs crossed, your back straight, meditating, whether it's reading a book, whether it's being your best and kind to your friends, your family, do it with everything you got. Every part of your being. You were born to do that. No matter what's going on around you, you control what goes on inside your mind, and therefore what goes on in your body. Always remember your breathing. Control your breathing. I love the joy of feeling that moment when it comes, when my body wants to quit, when the discomfort is getting to be too much. And then I stand in that space, I get to determine. I get to choose. I get to make the winning choice. That's determination. To keep going as much as I can, a little bit more than last time. I feel my muscles achy, trembling. But I get to choose. No, I get to determine. I get to make the winning choice of not giving up, no matter what. And if I do choose and lose, I give up, I get to come back again and again, every single time. It's the same power you have. We all have. No matter what. Alrighty. Proud of my effort there. Next song, we're gonna hold the side plank position for one side and then side planks for the other side. Show you in a moment. How about you? You proud of your effort so far? Keep going, everybody. Keep going. Keep moving. Moving is winning. Doing our best is winning. Wherever we are, whatever we're doing. That's the gym of life. Here we go. You can feel free to do what I'm doing, or again, if you want to decide to do something else, something that you want to improve on from last time, an exercise, whatever it is, keep doing it, keep going, do your best, try to do a little bit better than last time. That's your determination. You get to use it wherever you go, wherever you are. You get to determine, you get to win, make the winning, accurate, kind, peaceful, loving, positive choice to keep going, to keep finding out how unlimited you really are. I'm just trying to hold my my body in a plank position with one elbow down, other arm on the side of my body, and I'm trying to make sure that I'm lifted off the ground. The other side too. That'll be my exercise for today. How about you? Keep going, whatever you're doing. You're dancing, you're doing jumping jacks, doing push-ups, sit-ups, squats, whatever it is, keep going. Other side now. Try to hold it for the duration of the song. If not, I'm gonna keep going. Even if I fall down or stop, get right back up and keep going. Always do my best, always seeking and striving for my best, for our best. The more I do my best, the more I believe others around want to do their best. And that goes for you. That's how powerful we are. You doing your best right now, wherever you are, whatever exercise you're doing, that's the same process. And other people can be inspired by it. Really simple. Just live. Be your best. Be your true being. Don't let negativity, don't let fear, don't let the pain, the discomfort stop you forever. Keep going. Find out your pure joy, your happiness. All through your body and your mind, together as one. Song's not over. Gotta get back up, gotta keep going. Let's do the other side. You too, keep going until the music stops. Don't stop, keep going. Alright, excellent job. And let's bring it back. Let's connect our breathing. To our body, to our mind, to our energy. To our energy of determination. That's right. Be determined. We don't choose and lose. Give up. Believe lies. Give in to fear. We don't do that. We don't give in to anxiety, stress, things that are not the truth of who we are. The way you did your best today, whatever exercises, stretches you chose to do, it's the same process you get to use here, now, and wherever you go. In the gym of life, you get to grow your mind. You get to grow your mind health and your mind wealth. It's all possible if you determine, make the winning choice to be kind, to be peaceful, caring, loving, appreciative, grateful for everything you have here and now. I'm so grateful for my breath right now. I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful for our being, what we all truly are. I'm proud of my effort today, and I hope you are proud of yours. Because that effort, that process, that determination you use, it's available to you all the time. It's your greatest gift. So don't ever give up on using your determination to be your true, kind, positive, loving self. To control your own mind, no matter what. is going on outside of it. You are infinitely intelligent, powerful beyond measure, and you get to work now more than ever. Your own mind, your own body, your own energy. Making yourself better now so that you can be better forever. I love you, everyone. Have a great week. Have a great day. Enjoy your life every moment, no matter what. We are united always. Love you guys.
How many of you get to the afternoon and start to feel tired, lethargic, fatigued? You want to take a nap, but then you look at your to-do list and you realize you still have 77 things left to do. The first and easiest thing we can do is hydrate. I know it doesn't sound like rocket science and it isn't one of those clever hacks, but it can make a huge difference. Alkaline water specifically has a much bigger impact on your energy levels as well, so I try to stick to that. Chances are when you're feeling tired, you're going to want to reach for something with fats and carbs. I know when I get tired, I want to reach for some chocolate, some donuts, maybe a bagel, but that's not really what your body needs. What you need is a high protein snack. And so you want to turn towards something like fruits, nuts, seeds, anything that you actually may not want at that moment. You may not want to taste it, but I promise you, you'll feel much better for it. Now, if you're a tea lover, you already know the benefits of a hot cup of tea. But if you're not, I want to let you know that certain teas have herbs and adaptogens that help your body get back up to balance. So if you're feeling stress, they'll de-stress you. If you're feeling anxiety, they can lower that down. And on top of that, the art of taking a cup of tea, inhaling the scent, feeling it in your body, and then looking at the color gives you that sense of pause that you need in the day and re-energizes you immediately. I recently did a test to check my vitamins, and I realized that I was really deficient in vitamin D. The doctor explained to me that because of the color of my skin, no matter how much time I spend in the sun, I need to be taking vitamin D. Now, she was actually shocked that I could even get out of bed. That's how much vitamin D is connected to our energy levels. So if you're starting to feel fatigued a bit earlier than usual, get a vitamin D check and start taking some vitamin D.
Need motivation?
Watch a top 10 with Believe Nation.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because you are probably the most ambitious person in your circle, but you know you're capable of more. And you get that push by surrounding yourself with the best. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Jay Shetty, and my take on his top 10 rules for success. Enjoy. Rule number 2, learn from the past.
Learn from the past, but don't live there. This is actually a picture of Don Shula, a famous NFL coach, if you like NFL, one of the most well-respected NFL coaches, and he had this great theory. Well, not theory, practice. He gave all his players 24 hours only to celebrate a success or cry over a loss. He said, you've got 24 hours to feel your emotions. 24 hours to be successful, champion it, have a celebration, whatever you want to do. You've only got 24 hours. Make the most of that 24 hours. And if you're going to cry, I'm giving you 24 hours. After that, we forget about it. And the reason why I love this statement is this statement, learn from the past but don't live there, is usually used as saying our past is negative. But I want to apply it to the positive as well. Often we sit back and with nostalgia reflect on our best memories, right? And this nostalgic thing makes us still live in the past, and it doesn't necessarily let us build for the future. One of my favorite examples of it is when Steve Jobs went back to Apple. He went in there, and the first thing he did is that he crushed the museum that they'd built of all the history Apple had, because he said he didn't want to be working for a company that was built on just all of this past recognition and success. He wanted to be building a company of the future. He got rid of this big museum they had in the entrance of Apple when he went back after losing his job the first time. And so this is what I'm talking about. Let's not live in the past, right? Let's learn from the past, but not live there. And they did some great studies with armies. They did it with the US Army, and they did this with the Israel Defense Forces. And I'm sure you do this at work. So they did after-action reviews. But I'd love for you to do this in your own life. So they found that when they had two groups of soldiers, one group of soldiers reflected on only the failures of all of their actions, and the other group reflected on the failures and their successes. They found, after doing this for a certain amount of time, they found that the soldiers that focused on both the failures and successes not only performed better in future tasks, they were better mentally situated to actually inspire and empower their colleagues as well. So when you're reflecting, don't just learn from the past by learning from the failures, learn from the successes as well. Build them into that, because we start developing a story and a pattern for life.
Rule number 3, have a schedule.
I spent years of my life working really hard from Monday to Friday, only to have to wake up on a Saturday to do all my cleaning. Not only did that take up the whole day, it made less time for social interaction, for connecting with friends and family, and even time to work on my passions. And what ended up happening is that by the time it was Monday again, the house felt unclean and I felt like I'd made no progress. Initially, we all believe that doing it in one day seems like the best method. It's out of sight, out of mind. You don't have to think about it for the whole week, and in one day you get it sorted. The challenge with that is that in your mind, it also feels like a bigger mountain to climb. Scheduling it out during the week makes all the difference. Tackling small tasks, putting things back immediately after using them, washing a plate immediately after eating something makes it so much simpler. One of the best ways to do this is to create days dedicated to specific things. This makes it feel like a challenge or an experiment. So for example, a wipe down Wednesday. Knowing that all you have to do is wipe down your surfaces may take no more than 5 to 10 minutes. I also really love floor Fridays. Now the floor can sometimes take a bit longer, but still scheduling out around 30 minutes to do that could make all the difference. And if you live with more than one person, you can divide these days and these areas between you so that you can make it simpler and easier to handle and tackle. There's quite a few benefits to this. When we do the same thing at the same time on the same day every single week, it becomes so much easier for the mind to tackle that task. When we divide and dissect our tasks up in this way, we avoid burnout. We avoid feeling like we have this big, huge mountain to climb and solve, and we start tackling elements every single day.
Rule number 4, be present.
When you're feeling anxious, what's happening is that your mind is either rushing to the past or it's predicting and projecting the future. So you're either anxious about something that you experienced before, or you're feeling really nervous and anxious about something that might or could happen in the future. The best way to come back into the present moment is the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method. You want to start off by looking around wherever you are and noticing the 5 things you can see. It could be the windows, the walls, the ceilings. You then want to focus on the 4 things you can touch. It could be something you're wearing and you really want to feel the texture. It could be what you're sitting on. Just noticing it and really grounding yourself in holding on to that. Then it's about 3 things you can hear. Could be nothing. Could be white noise. Then the 2 things you can smell, inhale. Could be a scent you're wearing. Could be a flower. And then finally, the 1 thing you can taste. When you practice this, it brings you back into the present moment and helps you not focus on the anxiety or the nervousness, but on taking action from exactly where you are.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there. Rule number 5, don't seek validation.
There was a CEO of a very large car manufacturer, and he was known to be extremely successful, very productive, very effective. But the one thing he was failing at is that his employees really didn't like working for him because he worked late. How many of you feel that way? Oh, perfect. That's good. So no one here finishes late. All everyone's managers are in the room. Whichever way you want to take it, it's up to you, right? It's up to you. I don't know. So that was one of his challenges, that his employees hated work for him because they all left late because of him. He used to work till 10 p.m. every evening, so they would leave just after him. True story, right? They used to leave just after him. So one of his assistants, she came and said this to him. She said, you know, morale's a bit down. Everyone's struggling at work. You know, we're losing a few people are quitting their work. You know, people, they're not well, they don't feel like their health is being taken care of, they're not spending enough time with their families. You really need to consider this. He said, okay, leave it with me, we'll figure it out. From the next week, on a Monday, this gentleman who left at 10 p.m. every night, got up out of his desk at 6 p.m. He packed his bags, switched off his computer, left the office, jumped into his car, and all the employees at this time are like peeking out the window, you know, just like making sure, like figuring out where is this guy going. He pulls into his beautiful car, pulls out and drives away from the building. It was the first time it had ever happened at 6 p.m. They all decided to wait till 7 p.m. before they left. They waited and they left. On Tuesday, the same thing happened. They looked out the window again. He left at 6 p.m. again. This time they waited till 6:45 and they left. They did the same thing, and this happened for 3 months, where he left at 6 p.m. every day. 3 months later, his assistant, who'd made him aware of this challenge, she came back to him and she said to him, I'm really confused about something. She said, you've been leaving 4 hours earlier every single day, but you're not behind on your calls, you're not behind on your emails, and you're still performing at the same level, if not better, than when you were leaving on time. And she said, how are you managing to do this? Are you working at home? Well, how are you managing this? And he said, let me tell you something interesting. He said, every day, I get into my car at 6 p.m., I drive out. He said, I take a drive for an hour. He said, I take that drive, I listen to music, I re-energize. He said, I sometimes go for a bit of a walk at the park as well. He said, I come back fresher at 7 p.m. and I work for 3 more hours. And he said, if it helps them knowing that I've left at 6 p.m. so that they can have a better life and have the values that they want and value what they want to give their time to, that doesn't mean I've got to give up what I value my time to. He said, I love my work. I love being here till 10 p.m. I'm extremely ambitious. I love being here. But they should also love being where they are. And that to me is an incredible example of how someone actually lives, foregoing the perception of others. Even though he changed his own life to help other people, they'll never perceive him that way. They just think he's changed his mind and he goes home early. They don't realize the struggle that he's putting in. And that's what I've realized. Whether you're putting in struggle or sacrifice, never look for the validation or approval of others to validate that sacrifice or that struggle, because they don't need to understand anyway. It's always been your inner journey. It's always been part of your inner growth. And I remember when I made the decision to become a monk after business school, all my friends were like, what the hell are you doing, right? We just finished, and everyone was going off to work at Goldman Sachs and different banks and consulting firms, etc. I think a few people came to Google as well. And they all said to me, they said, what do you mean you're becoming a monk? Like, what does that mean? Like, who graduates and thinks about that? And I remember having to detach. And when I reflect, and I'd love for you to do this, reflect on some of the best decisions you've made on your life. Ask yourself, what decision did you make? What did people say about it? And what was going on in your mind? I've learned through doing that exercise, it's a much longer exercise, it can take days, and we do it in our coaching exercises. I've learned that the best decisions in my life have been the biggest risks. Everyone's disagreed with me, but I've been hell-bent on making it happen. And so now when I see an opportunity like that, I do it. Because I've realized that that's the pattern of the philosophy of my life. When I make decisions that are big risks, no one agrees with me, and it doesn't fit with what society's saying, those work out to be my best decisions in life. And I'm not saying that that's your pattern. I'm saying that you have a pattern and a rhythm as well. And it's part of your journey to find it.
Rule number 6, prepare for the next day.
After I've completed my work day, when I've finished all of my tasks, the last thing I do is check my schedule for the next day. Now, I'm one of those people that follows their schedule to a T. I believe it makes life simple. When I get my schedule out and look at the next day, I can think about how I'm going to feel. Have I got too much or too little on that? Do I want to add or edit something? It gives me perspective and allows me to get a glance on the next day so I can rearrange or reorganize based on the energy I feel today. Sometimes we feel so tired and exhausted, but without making that change and edit, we take that exhaustion in the next day. The other reason why I like looking ahead is that it gives me an opportunity to mentally prepare. I may have a podcast the next day and there's a guest that I'm really excited about and I may have to calm my nerves. Or sometimes it's an event or a meeting that I'm looking forward to and I just want to go over the bullet points before I go to bed. It gives me an opportunity to rehearse the day in advance, and often I'll even sit and do a short visualization just to imagine how tomorrow will look.
Rule number 7, connect to the right story.
Terry Pratchett, a famous author, whether you've read his stuff or not, a famous author, he said that people feel that stories are defined by people, but actually it's the other way around. people are defined by stories. When you're listening to me today, I've shared so many stories with you because we define ourselves by the stories we tell ourselves on a daily basis. The story you wake up to will be the story that will be the story of your day, right? If you wake up and you tell yourself a positive story, you'll have a positive day. You wake up, tell yourself a negative story, you'll have a negative day. Positive and negative thoughts are like seeds that either grow weeds or plants, right? They grow inside of us throughout the day. Anytime you plant something, it's like planting a seed. And the more you water it, the more you think about it, it grows. And of course, if it's negative, it's like a weed. And it starts to grow and grow and grow, and of course won't bear fruits. So really think about that. Tell yourself the right stories. Connect with the right stories, because ultimately, the universe is made up of stories, not atoms and numbers. Right? We all love stories. We breed stories. Your life is a living story that you're writing every day. And I genuinely mean that.
Rule number 8, use scents and music.
A lot of the time, we're trying to control anxiety up here. And what I find is hard about that is that if you feel like you've got brain fog or you're feeling cloudy, it becomes really difficult to find clarity. I find using external things can be huge. For me, I love diffusers and candles because a diffuser is infusing the whole environment with a beautiful scent, and it truly changes your mind. If you walk into a space, just think of a spa. As soon as you walk in, you feel different because of the scent. It could just be a normal room, but the scent of lavender, sandalwood, any of these essential oils can truly calm your body right down. Some people feel that silence creates anxiety, and some people feel that sound creates anxiety. Sometimes I like complete silence. It helps me relax and really hear my thoughts and the thoughts that I want to focus on. And sometimes I need to turn on some meditation music, some ambient music, just to have that impact on me. Please use music in your environments, in different rooms in your home, to help you achieve different emotions and feelings that you want to feel at that time.
Rule number 9, clean.
When I first joined the ashram, I was asked to do a lot of cleaning. And in the beginning, I found it tedious and a waste of time. What if I could be serving humanity? What if I could be reading a book? What if I could be studying and making notes? And I had all these excuses in my mind. But of course, I'd chosen to be a monk, and therefore I was encouraged to clean. And I started to find that cleaning did so much for my mind. And recently I looked at some studies that actually back that up. There are so many benefits of cleaning in a physical space that will also clear out your mind. A research study from UCLA by Saxby and Repeti found that cleaning gives you a better sense of control over your environment and engages your mind in a repetitive activity that can have a calming effect.
And rule number 10, the last one before some very special bonus clips, is have fun.
I'm so moving. This would be fun in spots, but I'm running around it.
No.
But like just
I think this is the fun of it. Okay, so we did it. Here it goes. Really proud of what we did. It was fun. It was fun doing it.
It was
And
fun.
I read this amazing quote by Richard Branson that says, "We don't stop playing because we get old, but we get old because we stop playing." And I realized in the pandemic just how much I loved to play. Whether it was a game of Catan, whether it was a game of tennis, I just knew that I had to be more active mentally and physically with the value of play. Now, often play is seen as something that should be reserved for the weekends. It's seen as something that you put off as a treat. Well, why can't we break it down and treat ourselves in the middle of a day? Maybe it's playing a game of cards. Maybe it's playing a video game if you just want to take that break to beat your next record. Or maybe it's just doodling or messing around or calling up a friend and having a playful conversation. The point is that play can be used as a reward, as a treat throughout the day. You don't have to put it off. Now, for those people that can be quite addictive personalities like me and find that if you turned on a video game at 2 p.m., you may still be playing it at 10 p.m., set a timer before you start, allow yourself to get that one game of FIFA or NBA 2K in like I would, and then get back to work. Doing something fun and exciting can increase blood pressure, dopamine, and your heart rate, giving you the energy boost you need.
Talk about detachment.
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
like, that I think is one of the hardest things that we face today.
It is 100%, and one of the ways we were trained, and I'm not recommending this to anyone watching. I'm just sharing how much we are obsessed and addicted to the body. We were trained to not look in the mirror.
Oh wow.
So I didn't look in a mirror for like 3 years.
Wow.
Right? Like effectively.
No way.
Effectively, yeah. As in, I looked in the mirror now and again when I had to shave my head or like whatever, like,
right.
But you don't look in a mirror to look at your appearance. I'm not saying that, I don't recommend that before you go to work tomorrow or anything like that, but just listen to the principle carefully.
You're gonna get a,
yeah.
like, Jay, I can't even, what do I look like?
Yeah, what do I look like?
No,
so the reason is, and that's the reason why monks have shaved heads too, because you focus less on your physical appearance. You spend less time on your physical appearance. What that allows you to do is it literally dissolves your understanding of your physical presence, which means all you have to deal with is the inside. Just think about how much attention it takes to keep ourselves well groomed, to take care of ourselves, to our ego and attachment to how good we look in the day. And I have it too, right? We all have it. Like, I'm not saying I'm detached from that. But what I'm saying is that we were trained in the belief that if you're able to switch off and close your eyes, why do we close our eyes when we meditate?
Right.
It's because it detaches us from the physical presence of where we are so that we can go inside. I feel like we give our toxic relationships and negativity so much energy. We're like, for example, in your comment section on Instagram, for anyone who's on social media, for everyone who's on social media, you could pinpoint the one negative comment out of 100 positive comments, and we all do it. We amplify the negative, and you see it all the time. And we do the same in our lives, where we sit here talking about all the toxicity. And so for me, it's like, I can either spend all my energy trying to convince that one person to love me, or I can reply to the people that love me already, and they'll love me more because they are already engaged with me, and they're gonna feel so happy that I responded to them. And I think this is a great, simple tip for everyone who's listening, is just when you respond to positivity in your life, it just increases. When you respond to the negativity in your life, it just increases. And so trying to get someone to like you and defend yourself and control how they feel about you, it wastes and drains so much energy. And you could use all that energy for the people that love you. When we were put out on the streets with nothing but had to fend for ourselves. And you recognize how you can actually live with very little, and how you need very little to get by. Whether it was fasting, like not being able to eat for several days or drink for several days, you recognize how grateful you are for what you do have. And so these mini experiments that are very extreme, that I'm not saying anyone has to do, and I'm not recommending anyone at home to do them. All I'm trying to say is that the body is like a vehicle. We have to take care of it. Just as you have a nice car, you got to take care of that nice car. But if you don't feed the driver, that car's not going anywhere. And so many of us have become more addicted to the vehicle than we have to the driver inside. And so the way of tapping into that driver inside is spend time with people who know their driver really well. And that's why monks were such a big part of my growth, because you meet people who have no agenda, want nothing from you, want nothing of the world, and are not trying to get somewhere. Like there's no win-win. It's only win for you. Like there's no win in it for them. And being around the energy of realized people who have that realization, who've been with their consciousness for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, that's a huge part of it. We're being built for a job, or we're being built to be in a box.
Right.
We're being built so that we fit into society. And I find it funny, right? It's like when you're a kid, you're told to fit in. Like what you probably remember this, stay in line, like fit in, everyone has to wear a uniform, everyone dresses the same, everyone has to do this. And then when you grow older, what are we all trying to do? We're all trying to stand out. It's weird. It's like your whole life you were told to fit in, and then as soon as you grow older, it's like, oh, you need a personal brand now. You need to stand out. Like, do you know your own voice? You need to stand out.
How do you deal with it when the doubt is coming from the people that you really love and you know they care about you?
Yeah, it was hard. I didn't go to my I graduated, but never went to my graduation ceremony. So my mom doesn't have a picture of me holding my degree, and that was a big thing for her because I moved to India. I just went. So I never went to that, and that was a big thing for her. And actually, my parents, I'm very grateful. My mom and dad are actually fairly liberal and supportive of anything I've decided to do. It's my extended family that's had more opinions and been more involved in kind of stirring stuff up with my parents, if that makes sense. So the way I dealt with it was always asking myself these questions around, you know, is someone invested in my future? Is someone going to be there for me when I'm struggling? And is someone paying my bills? Like, those are my 3 checking system of who matters in life, like your soul, your mind, and your paycheck. And I think the biggest thing I asked myself was just, am I going to look back on, if I don't do this, am I going to look back, going back to the Alexander the Great story, am I going to look back on my deathbed and say, my mom and dad held me back? Because I may say I'm going to do it for them. I'm not going to do this decision because I respect them and love them. But am I going to hate them in the end, or be bitter towards them, or feel a negative feeling towards them because I feel they held me back? And if that's the truth, I never want to feel that about my parents. They're incredible. So I need to go and take the responsibility to make this shift. And I think the truth is that when we think people are holding us back, it's just us not taking responsibility for us to push forward. Like, that's all it is. Because the truth is, if you really, 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 really want something, right? Like, if someone told you right now you had to get on a plane and there's $1 million in New York, no one would say, oh, my parents can't afford a plane. Like, no one would say that. You would do it. If you really wanted it, you'd get on a plane right now and you'd go pick that $1 million up. So it's our own insecurity that we reflect onto the people around us. And I think it's really important. I get it. There are people who are toxic around us. I get it. I had that too. There were people who were just like, literally people said to me, like, you realize you're going to fail at being a monk. You realize when you come back, no one's going to hire you. You realize when you come back, no one's going to want to be with you. You realize, you know, there were so many things. Like, people like, you know, you're going to be socially dead. Like, no one's going to care where you are. There was so much of that, but it didn't get amplified because I was strong in my conviction. So the way I dealt with it was just keep strengthening your conviction rather than trying to weaken the argument. Because the opinions of others will get weakened when you strengthen your own, right? That's how it works. You don't weaken someone else's to strengthen your own. We're so used to in our life having instant judgment, defining a moment and giving it a label, good or bad, in the moment. And I thought, how do I present a concept to the world where we can laugh at ourselves and realize that sometimes our instant judgment or our instant labeling processor isn't always correct?
Yes.
How do we get that? So this script or narrative that I shared in this video is on a gentleman who goes to buy these cookies because he feels like having a few cookies because his flight's delayed, and he sits down to eat these cookies, and the gentleman opposite him, where you're sitting right now, starts to take cookies out as well. And he's thinking, how's this guy? And the guy looks a little rugged. He looks a little scruffy. He doesn't look put together. So naturally, all of our biases, our unconscious biases start coming up and stemming up. And we start thinking, oh, he looks a little shady. Or maybe he doesn't have money. That's why he's taking my cookies. And we have this impression of I, me, and mine. These are my cookies. How can he take them? Only to realize when he leaves that your cookie box was in your bag and that gentleman was sharing his cookies with you. And then this person has this epiphany or this moment of realizing how quick he was to judge, but how wrong he was. And I think all of us in different ways have different moments in our life where whether we misjudged a person the first time we met them, or we misjudged someone because of the first thing they said to us, or we had a friend that now is our best friend, but our first impression was, oh, they're a loser. And all of a sudden now we think they're amazing. Emotional intelligence to me is being able to be aware of yourself, self-awareness, being able to know yourself. That's the highest form of EQ.
Right.
Like being able to say, I know when I'm at my best, I know when I struggle, and I know when this is a limiting belief or not. And then being able to process all of that. So we're not helping people. I love saying this because it simplifies it, but we teach people what to think, not how to think.
Right.
We tell them 2 + 2 is 4. But we don't tell them how to think about a problem. And that's why when you're faced with a new problem and you don't have a formula for it and you don't have an equation for it,
right,
you're like, oh, I'm stuck, right? And life's like that. Like, when in life have you used a formula to solve a real situation in life, even business?
Yeah.
Like, when has a formula helped you?
Yeah.
But we're taught that formulas solve equations. But we all know that there's no formula to business, success, happiness, meaning, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
I literally skip over negative comments, genuinely, since day one. And I remember reading them at the start. And so I'll add this. There have been times when I've looked at negative comments and they're like, oh, that's quite funny. Like, you know, they're funny, they're true. But overall, I try to respond to everyone who said something positive, and I rarely put any energy into anyone who put anything negative, because I don't want to change their mind. They're entitled to their belief. They're okay to feel that way. And if I feel like it's good feedback, I'll take it on board. But if I feel like it's just someone being a keyboard warrior and, you know, doesn't like me and saying what they want, then I'm not going to take that seriously.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to tell the difference between the two.
100%.
If there's some authenticity and truth behind it, it's a much different comment than just unabashed hate.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've had everything from he has a wind machine in his videos to make sure his hair flies, right? Like I've had that angle. And
Wait, you don't have a wind
machine? I just went out on a really windy day.
This is an exclusive on the podcast.
This is an exclusive on the podcast. I do not have a wind machine. But I've had everything from that, and I laughed at that. I thought that was a hilarious comment. Through to the other side of just like, you know, I don't agree with you and I don't agree with the point you're making. This is my point. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? I had 3 minutes to explain that and I missed that point. Like, you're right. You know, I agree with you. If I had a podcast like this, I could have explained myself. So, you know, but I do think that we do drag our own selves down. We put all the energy into the negativity and amplify it. Another story I'll tell you, because I love this too, and it shows. So, and he'll like this story. So Marcus Aurelius, if you haven't read Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, highly recommend it. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor, Meditations is his personal journal. And one of the stories that I love about him that comes up in a few Hollywood movies too, is that once when he was walking through the Roman town square, he used to have his advisor follow him around. And whenever people would glorify him and praise him, the person's job was to come into his ear and whisper, "You're just a man, you're just a man." Just to remind him in that moment where you just, you know, in that moment where you just feel like your ego is just going through the roof because everyone's saying, "You're amazing, you changed my life," etc. To remember you're just a man. And I would add to that, remember the people who made you that, right? Wow. Remember the people who gave you that. And so that's how I've learned to balance ego, is by any time I'm glorified or praised or appreciated or recognized, I'm passing that off to my teachers, guides, mentors, the universe, and accepting it on their behalf. So if I receive an award, I actually don't think it's mine. I'm accepting it on behalf of everyone who made me the way I am.
It's beautiful.
Whether it was positive or negative too. One of my favorite thoughts from Martin Luther King is, if you want a new idea, read an old book.
What old books?
Many different ones. The Bhagavad Gita is probably one of my favorite books. It's been such a huge part of my personal journey and personal life. Many other religious texts as well. So the Bible's been a big part of my study. Spent a lot of time with the Bible. And then it can just be thoughts and ideas, even of the last 2,000 years. So Stoicism, a huge fan of Marcus Aurelius' Meditations. That's been a huge book for me that I've studied. And sometimes old can just mean 50 years or 100 years ago too. But those are some of the bigger ideas that I think have had more prominent effects in my life. So Vedic and Stoic knowledge has probably been the most influential. After a long time, the other day, my friends and I went bowling. And I started to think to myself that life is a lot like bowling. Bowling is a team sport just like life. In bowling, sometimes the best players struggle and others that were less likely to do well surprise you and make all the difference. This is one of my favorite lessons. Focusing on someone else's score doesn't make yours any better. It's easy to get distracted by how well someone else is playing. You see their score go up, they bowl a strike or a spare, and you're calculating in your mind what you think that could be. But all that does is it distracts you from your game. Similarly, in life, focusing on someone else's Instagram grid doesn't make yours any better. Focusing on what someone else is doing for work or what they're driving doesn't make yours any better. Focus on yourself. Focus on your own role, your strengths. That will make all the difference.
I'm able to not judge myself.